We are going to be watching SG1, right? Yes. Season 10. Wait.
Yeah?
No. I'm looking at the wrong disc. I'm confused. Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG1 and Atlantis. Hello.
How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Excellent.
Surprisingly awake for a Sunday morning.
You're not normally awake at this time on Sunday morning? It's 9:30 a.m. or so?
I'm usually awake. I'm not so alert, I think.
Gotcha.
Feeling a little alert this morning, which is good, but...
That's good. Indeed. Well, it does say that you're a coffee monster on your username.
I am having a lot of coffee, and I am enjoying all of it.
Coffee is delicious. I've had some coffee, but I definitely want more coffee.
So good.
Coffee is great.
Yeah. What's up with you? How's things?
Good. Busy.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was accepted into an AI fellowship at work. I don't really know exactly what that means, but there were a couple people from my campus that were accepted into this thing, and it's supposed to be just training on using AI in the classroom.
Excitement.
And then I have to bring that back to my department, and I figured I would rather be one of the people that are getting the training and bringing it back than having to listen to one of my colleagues explain it later.
True. That's, definitely.
But I'm already using it a fair bit too, so I would like to learn how to use it more anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, it has its place. I'm not as paranoid as everyone else that it's going to take all of our jobs. At least, like, all the other people in my department specifically are convinced we're not going to have jobs in 2 to 5 years. And I'm like, I don't see that happening. But
I don't
what do
see
I
how
know?
that's
Maybe I'm
possible,
wrong.
given how stupid your students are. That's terrible to say. That's not what I mean. I mean, given the difficulty of what you teach.
It is a very difficult class, and some of them are very frustrating at times. But, I mean, even my students themselves say they want a person to interact with, and they don't see AI. My actual students say they don't see AI taking over my job because they don't want to not have a person that they can go to when they need something and have issues and discuss things with. And yes, you can discuss things with AI, but it's not the same, obviously.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about it. And I think in many ways it can make our jobs easier. So.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that was my excitement of the week. And also I'm thinking of going back for a doctoral degree, educational doctorate specifically.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully starting as early as fall, but we'll see.
Ooh.
I've got a few potential programs I might apply to.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So that's all that's new with me. What's new with you?
I'm on vacation this week.
Excellent.
That's basically it.
But that's great, though.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. It is very
I do have
good.
to work 2 days this week, but then that's it.
Yeah, I took them off.
Yeah. And there's not going to be a ton of work done
that's
in
good.
The 2 days I have. One of the days is actually just like makeup exams and stuff, so I don't actually really have to do anything except grade a couple exams. And I've got one lecture and one lab, and then that makeup exam day, and that's it.
All right.
Yeah. Good times. Almost American Thanksgiving. It is not yet American Thanksgiving, although it will have been American Thanksgiving already when this goes out.
True.
If anyone's wondering why we don't have as much work all of a sudden.
Yes. Do you know who also gives lectures?
Who else gives lectures?
Even when maybe they're not needed?
Who's that?
That's Rodney.
It is. I was going to go with, who else has less work to do now?
Ooh, yes, that's also very true. And who's that?
Specifically, Dr. Weir.
Yes. Poor Dr. Weir.
Poor Dr. Weir. What is this episode that we're talking about where Rodney's lecturing people and Dr. Weir has suddenly found herself without anything to do?
This is Stargate Atlantis, Season 3, Episode 10, The Return, Part 1 of 2.
It is. Two-parters in a row.
Yeah.
It starts with a recap. There's some corporeal ancients around, and there's a lot of wraith to fight, but they're not too interested in participating until the time of their choosing. But oops, they're not really ancients, they're replicators, but not the Milky Way galaxy replicators, other identical Pegasus galaxy replicators, with a different backstory, but still the same thing.
Oh, how convenient!
And recap.
Yeah, that was about it.
It was quite brief.
Yeah, I might have just gone, oh, there are replicators in Pegasus.
I went for a more dramatic summary.
That's good. That's better. That's why you do the summaries.
It is.
We start on the Daedalus with Rodney giving a lecture. He's explaining their new bridge to Earth from Atlantis that they've set up using stargates from both Pegasus and Milky Way, all lined up in the space between the galaxies, so that they have a means to get there even when they don't have a ZPM or taking 10,000 years in the Daedalus to go places.
10,000 years, yes.
Yeah, it's 10,000 years. I'm pretty sure they've said 10,000 years.
I'm pretty sure you're right, yeah. They've said 10,000 years many times, just not with regard to the Daedalus.
Yes, that's true.
I've been getting my ass chewed.
They're calling it the McKay-Carter Intergalactic Gate Bridge, which I'm glad Sam is getting her credit.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm surprised that Rodney went with that, but maybe Sam insisted.
How insistent was he to have his name first, do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure, very.
Yeah. So the way that this is going to work is that it takes about 30 minutes to traverse the galaxies this way, which is a great improvement over the
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Or never.
Yes. There's a stop partway through the journey, which is where the Daedalus currently is at the midpoint. They're going to have a space station there, which is not completed, but is up enough for them to do a test run with a puddle jumper.
Why not send a MALP or something through first?
I don't know.
Instead of a puddle jumper with a person?
I guess the MALP at the midpoint can't stop and run the macro. I don't know. Maybe they could.
If they at least send a MALP through from both ends, if they both arrive at that midpoint, then they will at least know that it works up until that point.
True.
Going towards the thing, I suppose they wouldn't know for sure that it works going away from that midpoint, but it would still at least give them a better idea than just sending a person through.
Yeah. What Shepard's for.
It's true. Very dispensable, Shepard.
Yes.
Expendable? There we go.
Expendable, yes.
Words are hard.
I like that Caldwell comes in at the end of this and just is like, okay, that's enough. Let's get to this. He just has no interest in Rodney's presentation.
No. Rodney's clearly very proud of himself as he's talking here and then seems a little deflated.
Yeah.
When Caldwell
Even
puts
though the rest of the crew was giving him plenty of applause.
They were.
Yeah.
Feeding his ego. My students don't give me applause when I lecture.
Yeah. I was trying to look at this midpoint station, and there's definitely an Atlantis gate on one side, and I think it's a Milky Way gate on the other side, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I didn't notice the difference of the gates. They did say at one point that it was going to be like right at the border between galaxies, but that is cool that they chose to do the different types of gates on each side.
And I wonder if they kept it separate, like is it all Atlantis gates up to the midpoint and then it switches to Milky Way gates?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So we get a bit of back and forth with everybody preparing.
What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go.
It is going to be Shepard in the puddle jumper because, again, they chose not to just use a MALP or something to make sure it's safe before he goes in. So he's getting ready. Everybody on the Daedalus is getting ready. Specifically, Rodney is making sure that his algorithm that's going to be storing Shepard's signature in each of the different gates is functioning properly. So they dial the gate. The macro has been uploaded, which I'm assuming they're talking about the specific equation that's going to be needed to make sure that Shepard just goes from one gate to the next without pausing between. So Dr. Weir gives Shepard a go. So he takes his puddle jumper and he goes through the gate. In the Atlantis gate room, we get the wormhole effect. And all of a sudden, he's there at the space station. Daedalus confirms that they can see Shepard. They're in the incomplete space station, the very obviously CG space station.
Yes.
They ask how Shepard's feeling. He says it felt a little bit weird, but everything seems to be in one place. So apparently being stored in the buffer and just being relayed from gate to gate has had no ill effects overall. So they're getting ready to continue on with the second leg of the journey in the Milky Way galaxy. Rodney, though, meanwhile, as Shepard is preparing, is getting some weird readings. Caldwell looks very alarmed and asks if he should tell Shepard to stand down. Rodney says, no, it's fine. This just is giving me readings that don't make sense. Caldwell continues to look skeptical as to whether or not Shepard should be given the go-ahead. Shepard is asking whether or not he has the go-ahead. Rodney's clearly very distracted by what he's seeing, but he is kind of like dismissively waving towards Caldwell, like, yeah, it's fine. Let him go. So that's what they do. They let him continue on to the next leg of the journey. Rodney confirms that the jumper is away. And on Earth, in the SGC, we get Jack.
There's another Colonel O'Neill with only one L. He has no sense of humor at all.
I was so excited to see Jack standing there with Landry, hanging out. Jack is displeased that he was not the one to be flying the jumper all the way through, but Landry reminds him he is not a test pilot anymore, and that the president specifically forbid him from being the test pilot for this. So that's why Jack is not the one flying the jumper, going from Earth to Atlantis instead. Walter says that they have an incoming wormhole, and then we see a puddle jumper come through in the Earth gate room, and it is weird because there is not a lot of room for it.
No.
So we're actually up in the control room, basically looking face to face at Shepard through the windshield of the puddle jumper, just on the other side of the window that goes to the gate room. So they're having a face-to-face conversation between Jack, Landry, and Shepard. Jack comments on the fact that Shepard's a little bit late, but, couldn't be helped, Shepard says. So they tell him to go park. Apparently, going to park means that they have actually arranged somewhere for him to go. He needs to go up through the hole in the ceiling, I'm assuming, unless they built a jumper bay somewhere higher up that he can access. We don't really know. He just has to go up to get to it. So that's what he does.
Yeah. Do you think that the puddle jumper has auto braking like a car might have now, so it doesn't smash right into Walter as it comes through?
I'm assuming it does, yes. Because that would be very tragic if that was
not all Shepard.
The end of Walter and Shepard also probably. That would have been tragic.
The other thing I was just thinking about is, so do you think that Mitchell would consider going through each Stargate along as a separate trip for his count?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, I think he would. I think he would specifically want to, but he would have to be in a puddle jumper. Otherwise, things would end badly for him after his first jump.
Yes.
So after Shepard heads up to park wherever he's going to park, we're back on the Daedalus, and the person at the helm, who was not Marks, I don't know who it was, but the person at the helm says that they're getting a data burst.
Oh, yeah, the Daedalus version of Marks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Marks
is Marks still alive?
I think he survived.
Marks is still alive.
Marks is still alive. He's just on the other ship.
No, I know he is, but I couldn't remember if he survived that episode where...
Oh, yeah. He was there giving side-eye to Daniel.
That's right. Yes. Okay, good. Mission accomplished, basically, is what that data burst is. They have a message from Stargate Command saying that Shepard made it through. So, of course, everyone is very excited, except for Rodney, who's still distracted by the weird data reading he was getting before, which is that of a foreign object traveling at 0.999 the speed of light and heading towards them. So that's weird. And then credits.
That was a long way to credits.
It really was.
A lot happened. It didn't seem that long when we were watching it.
Yeah, it was a lot.
After credits, Shepard is on his way back. He's back at the Midway station with the Daedalus. He reports that he's got pizza from Earth to bring to everyone in Atlantis, so he's gung-ho to go back through the next set of gates to go home and share his pizza.
Yum. It's kind of him.
I know. Unfortunately, Buzzkill Caldwell is like, no, you need to stay here while we're checking out this thing that we've detected. He could let Shepard go deliver the pizza.
He could. Then he could come back.
Yeah.
If they need him to. He doesn't really need to be there for any reason.
No. So they all converge. Shepard boards the Daedalus, obviously, and they all meet together in the Daedalus's briefing room. They're talking about this thing they found that's going 0.999 the speed of light and how that would affect it and how long it would take to get from galaxy to galaxy, which is a long time. 1 million years.
That is a long time.
It is. However, for the people on the ship, only several years, a dozen maybe, will have passed because of relativity, which I don't understand and didn't look up.
Relativity, time travels at a different speed. If you are going fast, then time travels more slowly for you than somebody who is not traveling anywhere near the speed of light. Is the basics of relativity and time.
Yeah. So they want to make contact with this ship, although it will be a challenge given their speed and that they're not. Shepard suggests pulling up, honking the horn, and trying to get them to roll down their window. But Caldwell's like, I don't have time for your dumb jokes.
I'm going to have to explain to avoid perjuring myself before a Senate subcommittee tomorrow.
We can't do this in this ship. They're going through their options for doing this. They can't speed up that fast, even if the Daedalus could go that fast because of the same relativity effects. They wouldn't be able to contact Earth or Atlantis for years. They can overtake them with the hyperdrive, but as soon as they stop, the other ship will blow right by them, so they just try to get as close as possible is what they're going to do. They break to do the work for this, and Rodney stops to ask, is the pizza thing true, Shepard? 'Cause it would be a shame if it were going to waste. I could maybe eat the pizza, but Shepard just gives him a look. And he's like, oh, fine, I'll go do my work. God. Nobody's letting anyone have any fun this episode.
Right? Seriously. I mean, I think Shepard had some fun with his tests.
Shepard did get to have fun.
Yeah, but no one let Jack have the fun, though.
Jack doesn't get to have the fun. Rodney doesn't get any pizza.
Doesn't get pizza.
Nobody in Atlantis gets pizza. It's the worst.
It is the worst. Sometime later, they're on the bridge of the Daedalus. Their plan specifically is going to be they're going to try to speed up as close to the same speed as whatever this incoming thing is so that they can try to get better readings than if they were just standing still as it passed them. So Rodney gives them a countdown, and we do see the thing coming out of nowhere. They're heading along the same trajectory, and Rodney's able to get some readings based on this brief flyby. And he says that if they are correct, and they might not be, it's an ancient warship, potentially an Aurora class. Caldwell asks who's flying it. Rodney says he imagines the ancients. Maybe, even though there haven't been any of them around for 10,000 years. See, there's that 10,000 year mention. But for them, only a handful of years would have passed rather than a full 10,000 years. The ships should have hyperdrives, so they're all kind of wondering why this ship wouldn't be using it, but Rodney figures it was probably damaged in some battle with the Wraith, so maybe this is the best speed that they're able to get. And it would explain how they got a million light years away from Pegasus without having to leave a million years ago. And it is now heading back in the general direction of Atlantis. Caldwell isn't convinced that an Aurora-class ship would have that kind of power, but Rodney thinks that maybe they have a ZPM. Could be worth trying to figure that out. Maybe they should try to hail that ship. Would that be at all possible? They're trying to figure out if there's any way that they can send a message to the ship asking it to slow down when they realize that it actually already is slowing down. Shepard says, maybe they heard me. But no, more likely, Rodney says that the ship saw them and is now slowing down, slamming on the brakes, essentially, so that they can come and check out the Daedalus. All of a sudden, there's a hologram of a person in ancient clothing on the bridge, and she addresses them as unknown vessel and says that she is Captain Helia of the Lantian ship Tria, and that they've suffered a lot of damage, but they've scanned this vessel and determined it's capable of hyperspace travel, so they've decided to slow down and see if this ship can give them any assistance in the form of hyperspace transport. Rodney says, of course they will. You would think that Caldwell would need to be the one to say that, but Rodney goes ahead and beats him to it. Shepard, though, doesn't think that Helia can hear them anyway, so Caldwell opens a channel to the ship and talks to them directly, introducing himself and saying that it would be an honor to give them assistance in any way possible. Rodney is ecstatic that he's going to get to meet actual flesh and blood ancients. And Caldwell tells him, well, don't get too excited just yet because it's going to be a couple hours before we can all match velocities and make transport happen. But that gives Rodney plenty of time to write out his list of questions and things he wants to talk to them about. So he rushes off to go do that.
So excited.
He is so excited.
Did you recognize Helia?
Of course, that is Mulder's sister.
Yeah. I didn't at first. And then I was like, oh.
Really? She does look different because she's, I don't know,
Blonde?
at least a few years older and also blonde, which is, yeah.
But still the long curly hair. And
yep. She had her hair kind of half pulled back too, though. So she did look a bit different.
So, yeah. Mulder's sister. It's almost like they have the same pool of actors to pull from in the
Almost
areas
like that.
where they're filming.
Weird
Yeah.
coincidence.
Very strange. Then we're in Atlantis. Dr. Weir is with Tayla and Ronan, explaining that the folks on this ship were battle-scarred and on their way to Earth when their hyperdrive failed, so exactly what Rodney assumed happened to them. So they decided to go forward rather than go back as fast as they could. And there are just over 100 ancients who are coming to Atlantis. So exciting.
Woo!
Tayla's people are super excited. They think this was foretold and that it turns the tide in the war against the Wraith. And Weir's like, that seems a little much, but she's putting a lot on these people too.
Yeah. Everybody is.
Yeah. Chuck Nishin lets Weir know that the Daedalus is ready to beam down the ancient delegation. And then they do, along with Rodney and Shepard. It's very exciting. They all say hello. Helia tells them they've done a remarkable job of preserving our city. And Weir's like, we did what we could. Helia then asks to speak to the leader of their people. And Weir's like, well, I'm the boss. And she's like, no, like you're actual leader of your planet. And Weir's like, okay, but why? And then suddenly a pedestal type thing pops out of the ground.
Oh, yeah, no, the famous phrase to be put on a pedal stool.
Something that Helia can work on because she sticks her hand on it. And suddenly all of the electronics up in the gate room that the Earth people are using shut down.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Rodney is like, what is that? I've never seen that. Why haven't I ever seen that? And Weir asks Helia what's going on. And Helia's like, well, thanks for everything, but we don't need you anymore. I have put the city under my control. How about you leave now? She doesn't say that, but...
That's kind of the implication, and that comes up eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's sometime later. Woolsey and Jack have both made their way to Atlantis. And I was wondering how they got there. I'm assuming that they used a puddle jumper and went the opposite way through.
I assume so.
Did someone have to go and get them in the puddle jumper? Did they just keep puddle jumpers parked? Maybe it was one of the... Maybe they had a X3E10.
Oh,
that's the smaller one? Maybe they used that.
So.
Yeah. There are 2 seats in those things.
So many options.
Anyway, Helia gives their story. They were in a battle with Wraith cruisers that proved to be too much for them. And so they started back to Atlantis, only to be told that the final evacuation was already in progress. So that's when they decided to just head to Earth instead, because that's where the evacuees from Atlantis were going to go. But then their hyperdrive failed, as we already know, and they decided to continue on anyway. She says that they owe the Earth people and / Earth Atlantis people a great debt of gratitude because they wouldn't be home anywhere near this soon if they hadn't had that help. But now all they want is some time alone in their home.
I like some alone time at home after a long vacation.
I agree. Yes. Quite agree. Jack, though, reminds her that they did shed quite a lot of blood defending this city from the Wraith. Helia says, well, you're the ones that woke up the Wraith to begin with. And Woolsey reminds her, well, you are responsible for the emergence of the Wraith to begin with. You have admitted, so she doesn't really have a good response to that one. Jack clarifies that they're not saying that the city doesn't belong to them, but that maybe everybody belongs here. Maybe the Earth people also belong here because they've fought to defend it for so long. Maybe just let us stay with you.
Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who.
We're not saying you need to leave, but maybe don't make us leave either. But no. Helia says the day will come when their people will once again, when the Earth people will once again have a place there, but that is not this day.
Ancients suck.
They are kind of assholes, yeah.
They are. The city is huge.
It is.
I don't know.
And they've only got 100 people.
Yeah. Elsewhere, and at the same time, Shepard, Rodney, and Weir are meeting. Rodney's like, you should be in there with them. And Weir's like, no, there's nothing I could say that can make a difference. Shepard agrees. They want us out of here. Rodney's like, they might need us. But Shepard says, what if you were forced from your home by a war, only to return to find someone on your couch, eating your Cheetos, watching your TV? And I did appreciate that he did have this other perspective, because I'm sitting there going, these ancients are big dicks.
Yeah.
So maybe it's nice to have another perspective. Although Shepard's not any happier about it than anyone else.
No.
Woolsey and Jack come in, and Shepard asks how the talks went. Jack said no talks, only listening. Woolsey says it was a transitional meeting, and they just wanted to know how long before everyone could be out of the city. So Jack told them 48 hours. I thought Jack could, push that a little.
Right?
Give him a little buffer time.
Yeah, that's very fast.
Yeah, but no. Rodney's pretty upset about it. He's like, we rescued them. We're just going to take this lying down. Woolsey's like, they're so grateful, though. And Rodney's like, no, they're not. They're not showing it. But Woolsey's like, look at their perspective. They're being very generous. Way back when, we were basically hunter-gatherers. And Rodney's like, did you remind them if we hadn't hunted and gathered them out of the void between galaxies, they would be stuck there? Which is very good. I enjoyed that line. And Shepard says they should have left them out there. So this sucks. Basically, they're like, we're losing the city. We're losing our opportunity to even talk, as Weir says, to living, breathing ancients, because for some reason, we're still like, these people are great. We really want to learn from them instead of their giant dicks, and fuck them. Woolsey's like, over time, they'll let us back in, but not right now. And Jack's like, well, we do have our own galaxy to worry about. So Shepard, why don't you work on withdrawal of the city? And everyone leaves except for Jack and Weir, because it's Weir's office they're in. So Jack takes a moment to speak to Weir and let her know the ancients are letting one person stay behind, and no, it's not her. It's Woolsey.
This is a test run. I can assure you that the final product will be zesty.
He could have led with that. She got her hopes up and was all excited.
I know. Rude, Jack.
Yeah. Because he paused after saying they're letting one person stay behind as an ambassador. He did seem to imply it was going to be her before dashing her hopes.
But no, it's Woolsey. Weir finally says, I guess I can be comforted that of all the ways this could have ended, this is not the worst.
True.
So, which is true.
Yeah.
And that's about it. They're going to be leaving Atlantis.
Yep. That is it.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yep. Then we're in Shepard's quarters. He's packing up his stuff. Ronan comes in, and Tayla is with him. He asks them if they are also packed. Ronan, of course, doesn't really have a lot of stuff anyway because he's been on the run for a very long time, and Tayla says most of her stuff is already with her people anyway, so she doesn't really have much to pack either. And the Athosians aren't even being allowed to stay on the mainland, which I thought was pretty shitty.
So shitty.
They're being relocated to a different planet via the Stargate. So that's also crap. Why can't they stay on the mainland? They've already got their crops and everything and their homes. They've been living there for a couple of years at this point. That sucks.
Horrible.
Yeah. So Tayla is pretty downtrodden and says it's not the homecoming of the ancestors that her people had envisioned, with them coming in and kicking them out of their homes. So yeah, that's super shitty. Shepard's got some stuff like a Johnny Cash poster and skateboard and various things that he doesn't necessarily want to bring with him and offers them to Ronan and Tayla, but now they're pretty good. They don't need any of that. He also tells them that they are welcome to come back to Earth, but Tayla's place is with her people, and Ronan refuses to leave the galaxy until every last Wraith is dead, so that's quite ambitious.
Yes.
Shepard says he just had to say it out loud. And Tayla makes the same offer that they can stay with the Athosians. But, of course, Shepard has his reasons for not being able to do that, such as the Air Force having other plans for him. Tayla says she also just had to say it out loud. They all agree that the situation sucks because they don't want to be splitting up. Everybody's gotten to be really close. But Tayla knows that their paths are going to cross again. And maybe before then, you can give me a hand with some of these boxes, Shepard says. And also, he'll throw in some pizza and beer. And maybe popcorn, Tayla asks, because she really loves popcorn.
Aw.
Yes. But then Shepard is, as he's talking about popcorn, interrupted by Ronan, who just gives him a giant hug.
Yeah, he picks him up and moves him.
He does.
And then we're in a lab.
Secret lab.
But where Zelenka, Rodney, and Beckett are all packing up. I'm assuming Beckett's giving them a hand because he probably doesn't have his own stuff in the lab, the same lab as Rodney and Zelenka. That would be
likely
random.
Not. Yeah. I wouldn't think that he would have any medical research going on in the same lab as the astrophysics people.
Yeah. They're talking about what they're going to do when they get back. Zelenka said he had a position at a university offered right before the expedition, so maybe he could do that. I would have thought Stargate Command would have offered him a job, like
Right?
we offer Rodney a place at Area 51,
Yeah.
but
I would think Stargate Command would offer all of these people
Yeah.
a job as a consultant or something like
Right?
Daniel and Vala are.
right?
Yeah.
Beckett says he has been offered a surgery position at Stargate Command, so he will be there. And Rodney's like, I guess I'll be at Area 51. And that's going to be so boring for me, but here we are. Zelenka says he is looking forward to dealing with a single problem rather than being pulled away constantly, not being able to finish anything because of all of the fires to put out. But Rodney's like, ugh, how many times at Area 51 am I going to be asked to save the day at the 11th hour? So annoying that I won't be able to do that as much. Beckett then is like, it's been a pleasure to work with you and of all the people. And then he breaks up a little because he's having a moment. And Rodney's like, you're not tearing up, are you? Ugh, oh my God, tearing up. Shut up, Rodney. Let Beckett have emotions. But Beckett's like, you've ruined it. So he like packs up and is about to leave. And Rodney's like, fine, I'll let you say it. I want to know now. And Beckett's like, I was just going to say goodbye. And then he leaves.
Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human.
Very sad.
Yeah,
Poor Beckett.
I know.
Then we are in Dr. Weir's quarters, and Shepard comes to give her a visit. He tells her that they are way ahead of schedule for leaving the planet, so they are ready to head out. At least his group of people, whoever he's taking with him, are ready to head out at 0800, and the Daedalus is going to take most of the gear back. So people in their odds and ends will make their way through the gate, thanks to the Ancients' new ZPM. So Dr. Weir thinks Shepard is taking this pretty well, but he says he's really pissed off about it. He's only a quarter of the way through War and Peace, but there's nothing that they can do about it, so he just kind of has to make the best of a bad situation. Dr. Weir says she can't possibly imagine what she could do for a living now. Shepard is incredulous that she has any concerns that she'd be able to find a job with any government, every government in the world, but Dr. Weir, as with everybody else, is like, well, it's not going to be the same as here. This career is not something that can be topped, which is the general sentiment among everybody heading back to Earth. Shepard says life isn't fair. It's just fairer than death, which is apparently from The Princess Bride, he says. Good movie. I don't actually remember that quote from The Princess Bride, even though I have seen it a million times, but maybe it's from the book.
It's from the book. It's not from the movie.
I didn't like the book.
Fair.
It wasn't nearly as good as the movie.
The movie's so good.
It is. That is one of the rare occasions where the movie is better than the book.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shepard asks if she's going to be ready to head out at 0800 with the rest of them, and yes, she thinks that she will be.
What about Jurassic Park? Book or movie?
Both are
Yeah, they're
excellent
both so
in different
good.
ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
the book is my favorite book. The movie is my favorite movie, and
Yeah.
they are different, but I find them both equally fantastic, even though
They
it's
really
in different
are.
ways. Yeah, right?
So well done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be able to pick one. I love them both.
Yeah. Yeah. Then everyone's in the gate room, leaving. Rodney's trying to give last minute information about the city to Helia, who is like, I don't really care. We're fine. We don't need you. We're ancients. So Rodney is like, okay, gonna go. Down in the actual gate room, Taylor is saying goodbye to Shepard. They butt heads, not in a headbutting way, but in a Athosian way. That was a weird way to say that.
So much, not so much butting heads as resting foreheads
Yes.
against each other. Which is quite different from butting heads.
I suppose. But they all say goodbye. They all go through the gate. Weir is the last one who takes a look back before leaving, but then she goes through the gate too. And that is it. Goodbye. No more Atlantis. They rename the series after this SG 1.2. And that's it. Mary?
Sorry, I
Oh.
muted myself for a second.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
I was going to just say that was the end of the series, and now
Oh.
we're back to just SG-1 recap because Atlantis is over forever.
Exactly. That was more or less my sentiment as well.
Yeah. It's just another, 2.5 seasons of
Yeah.
dead air.
Yes.
So there's nothing to recap there.
Yes, they don't go on in SG-1. They just cease to be, and this is it.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
Atlantis doesn't continue. But
Yeah,
SG-1 does.
weird choice for them to just air Dead Air, but
They did it,
right?
Yeah, they did.
Then we are in the gate room in the SGC. At some point later, Shepard has his own SG team, and he is helping them back through the gate. One of his team members is limping. Landry comes in to meet them and is like, please tell me you didn't engage the Ori. But no, Shepard's just annoyed with his team, who one guy fell
Dr. Fumbles McStupid over here.
into a babbling brook from 20 feet above. The other guy was trying to help him and broke his ankle in the process.
Great.
Shepard says he never thought he'd miss Rodney McKay being a member of his team, but here he is. Landry reminds him chemistry doesn't happen overnight, and after Wallace is the name of the guy with the broken ankle, after he is out of the infirmary, then we'll do a debrief on what happened. And then the gate starts to open. Walter says off-world activation, and Landry says, you're going to want to see this, and invites Shepard up to the control room, where it's General O'Neill on the line.
Sammy, it just doesn't sound like fun.
He's in Atlantis.
He is.
The ancients found Woolsey trying, so Woolsey needed a little help. So Jack is there with him. And we see Jack and Woolsey on a monitor. Jack sees Shepard, and I was wondering where their camera was. Maybe above the monitor they're looking at? I don't know.
Probably the same as current ones that are like right above the monitor.
I guess. I didn't see one, but I was kind of looking because I'm like, do all
I
the
didn't see one
monitors in there
either,
have
but
cameras? But anyway,
they're not obvious these days. They're built in the bezel around it.
But that was not these days. Anyway,
this is true.
Woolsey says talks are proceeding at an acceptable pace, and that is probably acceptable just to Woolsey. But the really big news, though, is that the Replicators are heading to Atlantis. Jack adds, no one there seems very worried about it. Because they're ancients, he explains. And Woolsey says the Replicators have a law in their base code that says they can't harm their creators, is what the ancients have told them. And Shepard's like, oh yeah, and they were expecting to find humans there, but instead they're going to find ancients. So Woolsey's like, see, it was fine that you left the city because you might have all died anyway.
Great.
And yeah, cool.
Everything's worked out for the best.
Yeah. Shepard does offer to debrief them a little on the Replicators, but Landry's like, nope, sounds like everything's fine.
Sometime later, we're in Shepard's office. He is talking to Rodney over the phone. Rodney is very miserable. Among his complaints is that his lab is too large. And we see that it is like this giant cavernous space with a huge turbine or like a reactor or something behind him in the background. And it's very echoey where he is. Shepard still doesn't see how he could be so miserable because they've given Rodney everything that he wanted. But that's not exactly true because Rodney just wanted to go back to Atlantis. But Shepard was like, what about your hand-picked assistants? Rodney says that they're all sycophants, which you would think he would like, but he doesn't, apparently. And Rodney is saying he doesn't want to use the term lonely, but there's certain people that he misses. Shepard asks me, and Rodney's like, no, of course not you. I'm talking to you on the phone right now, and I'm seeing you tomorrow. So no, not you. But he misses Dr. Weir and various other people. Rodney says, at least you get to go off-world with a team of your own, but Shepard obviously isn't too thrilled about that because his team is kind of incompetent. So that's the end of their conversation event, essentially. They're going to go and see each other tomorrow night for dinner. And then we're at Dr. Weir's apartment. It's pretty messy. There's pizza boxes and takeout containers everywhere, and she's just sitting on the couch when Dr. Beckett comes for a visit. She lets him in and apologizes for the mess, and he says that he's been worried about her because she didn't return any of his messages, and actually Shepard had mentioned, too, that she hadn't returned any of his messages when he was talking to Rodney in the previous scene. And she's like, yeah, well, sorry about that. I've just been busy. He asks, with what? And she is working on her memoirs. Beckett is a little bit skeptical because who is she going to be sharing this with? She can't publish it. And she says it's mostly for her own benefit to just kind of get all her thoughts straight. More for posterity than anything else. Beckett goes on to say that everybody has been worried about Dr. Weir because she's basically just disappeared and isn't returning anyone's phone calls, as we've already established. And a few people have run into her here and there, but they've all said that she seemed distant. And she says that she's trying to move on, which is clearly not the actual case. She's horribly depressed and doesn't want to admit it, really.
Yeah.
Beckett asks her why she hasn't taken any other positions. It sounds like she's been offered a number of other jobs, and she even says that the SGC asked her to be a consult with the IOA and Homeworld Securities, but she's just not ready yet. So Beckett says, Rodney's flying in tomorrow. We're going to all go have dinner. You should come. Dr. Weir tries to make excuses, but Beckett says, nope, I'm going to pick you up at 7. You're coming, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, it seems really obvious by the fact that she's in close proximity to the SGC that she's not ready to move on.
Right.
Like, I don't think she lived in that area before they went away.
No. I think she lived in D.C. or something.
Yeah.
Or close by, anyway.
Yeah, so she's still hoping to go home to Atlantis.
Indeed.
Then we're on Atlantis, where they're watching a monitor of the replicator ship headed towards Earth, and a smaller puddle jumper is also on screen, headed towards it. Woolsey's like, are you sure sending just one puddle jumper to fend off of the replicators is the good call?
I wanted to be able to daydream.
And Helia's like, it is impossible for them to harm us. Jack wishes he had enemies like that. They then establish communication with the replicators, and Helia says, this is Helia. The city you're approaching is again under Lantean control, so stand down and go home. Or... ... Uh-oh! The jumper blips out of existence. And Woolsey's like, I thought you said they couldn't harm you. And then she's like, raise the shield. But it's too late. The city is already being hit by the replicators, which at this point, their arrogance is unparalleled.
Yes.
It is so bad. Like, you didn't even as a precaution raise the shield.
Yeah.
You think that in 10,000 years, nothing would have changed with the replicators? Like, it's so bad.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
They didn't even want the updates about the last replicator interaction that the people from Earth were trying to offer them. But yeah, they are just completely arrogant.
They kind of deserve what they get.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, nobody deserves to be mass destroyed, I guess, but...
No, this is true, but they are... assholes and definitely going to be victims of their own arrogance the way things are going.
Jeez.
Yes.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
So yeah.
Then we're in a restaurant somewhere with Shepard, Dr. Weir, Beckett, and Rodney. I was actually kind of surprised they got Dr. Weir out, even though Beckett had said he was going to come and pick her up.
Maybe he picked her up over his shoulder and walked out of her apartment with her.
So they're just having a chat, and Shepard thinks that Rodney should call Cadman, but he reminds Shepard that things have been weird since they had their first kiss through Rodney. So, yeah, Beckett has kind of lost touch with Cadman after that, apparently, but she was really annoying anyway, so that's for the best. And then Dr. Weir suddenly says, it's getting late. Shepard asks, since when do you sleep? But apparently since she got back, she's been trying to catch up on a lot of the sleep that she wasn't getting in Atlantis. So it's been lovely seeing everybody, and now I'm going to go home because, again, she's trying to make excuses. She's clearly depressed and just wants to go back home and be alone, which is sad that she's just not addressing that.
Yeah.
And so Shepard thanks her for dinner because you were taking us all out to dinner, right? So this is all on you, is the implication. And then all of a sudden, everyone's cell phone rings, except for Beckett, who doesn't have his cell phone on him. And frantically is asking everybody else, what's going on?
We don't have to wait long, though.
We don't.
Because next we're in the briefing room with those folks and Landry. He says they got this data burst 20 minutes ago, turns it on, and it is Atlantis with Jack and Woolsey. Jack is reporting that Atlantis is under attack from replicators. They've overridden their programming. The agents were not expecting it because they're arrogant bastards and have already lost control of most of the city. So they would like to be evacuated, please. I did like seeing in the background Woolsey shooting. I'm like, yeah, Woolsey. Yeah. Defend yourself. Good.
Right? It's surprising that he was able to.
Yeah. And then he warns they're coming. And then that cuts out. There's no more after that. Landry says they didn't make it to the gate. And Landry says he was informed they had a law written into their base code making it impossible to harm ancients, so how did this happen? And the team kind of looks around at each other, and Rodney's like, it might be that when I was rewriting Nyam Cat's base code that we might have made it possible for them to make changes themselves? Which, don't they send mission reports to Stargate Command? Would they have not already reported this? Shouldn't they have already known this?
Landry should already probably know that, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Landry doesn't read everything.
Maybe not. Or maybe he just didn't understand the implication that in changing his code, it could have done that kind of damage.
Yeah. And they're like, ugh, sorry. We thought this was the only way to save the city at the time. Whoops-a-doodle. Shepard says it doesn't matter. They may have changed it on their own, which again, yes, they had 10,000 years to work on this.
Exactly.
The question is, he says, how do we fix it? Landry says, well, I've got my orders. The Daedalus is on the way, and what I need from you is the best way to get a nuclear weapon past the shield so we can just blow the city to hell. Beckett goes, I have no idea. And Landry's like, I didn't call you in. It's just really funny.
Yes.
But yeah, great. They're going to destroy the city. Landry calls it the gateway to Earth. And Rodney's like, but we have an iris. And Landry's like, yeah, but thanks to your intergalactic bridge, they can just rewrite your macro and they can come out anywhere in the Milky Way. Ha ha.
Great.
Rodney says those macros are complicated. And like, yes, but so are replicators, Landry says. Shepard says, I could take 60 Marines back with me. Maybe General O'Neill and Woolsey are alive, and we could just take my Marines and Colonel Carter's anti-replicator weapons and take care of this for you. And Landry says, nope, my standing orders came directly from O'Neill, and we need to get a nuke past the shield, and that's all we're doing. That's it. Boom. Orders. Done.
Yes. And then we are in Shepard's office later. Dr. Weir, Beckett, and Rodney are all there talking about what to do about the replicators, or the replicator thingamajiggies, as Beckett calls them. Shepard starts talking about the ARGs, the things that were designed to disrupt the link between nanite cells that they developed for the replicators in this galaxy.
They should have already had some on Atlantis.
They sure should have, because, again, even though it was supposedly a different technology, it was somehow the identical technology to the one that evolved here or was created here. Yeah. So how are they going to get through to the Pegasus galaxy with some ARGs? Shepard knows that Taylor and Ronan would be willing to help them if they can get in touch with them in some way. Dr. Weir points out that they would need to gate into Atlantis, but most likely the people in Atlantis would have the gate shield up. But Rodney says he did write a back door to the shield program, which seems bad because I would think that the Replicators or somebody else could take advantage of that too.
Yeah.
But it was a couple years ago when Kolya stormed the city, so I guess he did have good reason for it theoretically at the time. Dr. Weir isn't so convinced that retaking the gate room is necessarily the best way to go. She says that Landry was worried that the replicators were going to rewrite the macro to the bridge to get them to the Milky Way. So does that mean that Rodney could change the macro if he were somewhere else in the Pegasus galaxy? I didn't really quite understand the point. I guess they're still just trying to figure out how to get into the gate room, maybe without assuming that Rodney's gate shield is going to work. I don't know. But anyway, actually, what if they go to the Athosian settlement instead? So I guess that's what they're going to do. They're going to have Rodney rewrite his macro to take them to wherever the Athosians and Taylor and Ronan are. So they need a jumper. And they also, of course, need some of those ARGs. And to make sure that the iris isn't closed. So they've got to figure out how to make all of that work if they're going to do this.
Yeah. And next we see they're working on it. They need to add somebody to the authorized personnel list to access the jumper that's in Stargate Command, because it is in a storage area under guard. He says there's only one guy in the whole base who can do that.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, and it's not Rodney like Weir would have thought, but it is Dr. Lee. Oh, Dr. Lee.
It's like the Twilight Bark.
He's been working on the jumper research project because Rodney says they refuse to send it to Area 51 for me. But he thinks he can add himself to the list, but he has to do it from Lee's office. And Weir's like, okay, so he says, well, he's in his office, so you have to distract him. Couldn't they lure him out of the office?
Yeah, you would think.
But
yeah,
it's okay.
And having Dr. Weir end up hitting on him seems like a really weird take and inappropriate as well. I guess she doesn't work there anymore, so maybe it's fine.
I guess it's weird anyway.
It is weird. But yeah, they're in Dr. Lee's lab, and he's delighted to see that there's another woman that is this into World of Warcraft, which over the course of their conversation, she clearly has no idea about it, but she's trying to convince him that she does while Rodney's doing some stuff on the computer in the background. That is eventually when their conversation goes to Dr. Weir saying, I don't mean to be so forward, because Dr. Lee was turning back to see what Rodney was doing. So she turns his face so that she's looking directly at him and he's looking back at her, and she's brushing his lab coat. And Dr. Lee is like, no, go ahead, be forward. It's fine. Dr. Weir's not really quite sure how she should put this, but Lee says a true mage speaks his or her mind. And then Rodney suddenly is apparently done with whatever he was doing and says, look at the time. We gotta go. We're out of here. Okay, bye.
So weird.
It was a very weird scene.
Poor Dr. Lee.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know anything about World of Warcraft either, so
Me neither.
oh, this all seems fine.
Sure.
Except for that, yeah. She doesn't know anything either.
No.
The team is already there together now, walking along, but they've run into Wallace, the broken ankle kid from earlier. He says General Landry wanted to talk to him about reassignment. Oh, so sad. He's like, Shepard's like, sorry about that. And Wallace looks around and he's like, are you going on missions without me? And Beckett just tells him he should stay off the ankle sun.
Yeah, I always don't know why he was surprised that Shepard would go on a mission without him if he's got a broken ankle and a mission needed to happen.
And is about to be reassigned anyway?
Right. Yeah, that was weird. Anyway, I mean, this isn't a sanctioned mission, but he didn't know that. But it was weird to me that he was surprised.
And they don't have time for this, so Shepard's just like, sorry, and zats Wallace.
Yeah.
I was wondering, though, Beckett had his hand on his shoulder when he zatted him, so why didn't Beckett go down too?
Yeah, you would think that he would have.
Yeah, but no.
If this was a defibrillator, he sure would have.
Yeah.
Windmills do not work that way! Good night!
They get him out of the way.
Yes.
They sneak to the jumper storage where Siler is inside working on it, and we can't have a crossover episode where Siler doesn't get hurt in some way.
Right? Yeah.
That would be sad.
It would.
So they go in and zat Siler too, who falls down off of whatever he's working on and lands on the ground. Poor Siler.
Poor Siler.
And they're like, okay, we're ready to go. Let's do this. In the control room, the gate starts dialing, and Walter literally says, what the hell? He calls for Landry to come to the control room. Back in the jumper, Rodney's like, all right, we got to go really quick before they can put up the iris. There we go. That's the word. Landry comes into the control room and asks what's going on, and Walter's like, I don't know. Gate just started dialing. Landry's like, it doesn't do that. And Walter's like, yes, I know. Landry orders the iris closed, but Walter cannot do that. And then he gets on the microphone and he knows it's Shepard, and he tells Shepard to stand down. It is a direct order, but they don't listen. The jumper just comes down, zips through the gate. No word from them at all. Just gone. Bye. Walter's like, want me to find out where they're going? Landry's like, I already know.
And then we are somewhere in space in the middle of the two galaxies, so they're at that halfway constructed space station. Dr. Beckett remembers his wee baby turtles. He got himself some turtles as pets because he didn't think that he would be fair to a dog if he's gone all the time, and he's allergic to cats, but he's very distraught because he thinks that probably his turtles are going to die because he didn't remember to tell anyone to go and feed them while he's away. Poor turtles.
Poor wee baby turtles.
Yes. Shepard is getting impatient with Rodney, who's trying to, again, rewrite his macro so that they can get to wherever Taylor and Ronan are. And then Landry appears on their screen and says that he's going to assume that they are still at the Midway station waiting for Dr. McKay to rewrite the code. He knows what they're doing, he understands, and he would even call it brave, but if you don't turn around and come back to the SGC right away, then your career is... And Shepard just turns the screen off. It says, this way I won't know what he was going to say. That fixes it. And Rodney's got the code finished, so they're going to head out, and we get the wormhole effect again. Then we are at wherever the Athosians have gone. Layden from the Janai is there hanging out with Taylor and Ronan. He says that he knew that they would never come to him, so he came to them because he heard about what happened. And they need to put all that behind them. They need to team up. Your friends have all returned home, and you've been asked to leave Atlantis, so what are you going to do next? Taylor says the plan is to rebuild a settlement here on whatever new planet this is, but Layden points out that that settlement seems finished, and he doesn't think that Ronan is really too much up for just being a farmer forever, and that carpentry and clearing brush is not the best use of Taylor's skills either, so he wants them to come work for him. Of course, Ronan and Taylor are very skeptical of that request, and Layden does understand their reluctance. In the past, the Janai have hardly been the shining beacon of hope for the galaxy. And Ronan's like, in the past? But Layden says they're getting stronger every day, and they've got a lot of stuff going on that they are optimistic is going to help them seriously cripple the Wraith. Taylor wants to know exactly what he's got in mind, but Layden really doesn't want to get into specifics here. But the plans are dangerous, and it needs some unique abilities that Taylor and Ronan both possess. Ronan isn't interested. He says that both of them are not interested, for that matter. And Layden says, well, that's not too surprising, but give it some time, and maybe you'll realize that you don't like being a farmer, and you'll get bored.
Probably true.
Likely so.
Also, he spoke for Taylor, but clearly afterwards, it's not at all sure that Taylor won't go work with them.
True.
Because they're having an argument about it.
Indeed.
He refuses to work for the Janai, but Taylor's like, we'd be working with them. And they are the largest and most organized group of humans that are currently fighting the Wraith, which is what Ronan wants to do.
Right.
Ronan's like the ancestors will do something, but even if they weren't taken over and murdered by replicators, there's no guarantee they would do shit for any of the humans in this galaxy.
This is true. I'm assuming Taylor and Ronan probably don't know about the replicators?
Probably not. Oh, yeah, not yet. They don't.
Yeah.
She says, but the ancestors don't need, nor have they requested our help, while the Janai have, so that's something they can do. Ronan's like, maybe I don't belong here then. And then Shepard pops out.
Peekaboo. Shepard.
From somewhere and is like, your food smells great. I hope you save some from us. But it's not just Shepard, it's the rest of them. It's the whole team. We are in Beckett and Rodney. And they are so excited to see one another. Ronan immediately clocks, though, that something's wrong, because why would they all be there?
Right.
So they're going to go talk about that.
Yeah. Sometime later, Rodney is distributing the ARGs and telling the people that are not familiar with it how to use it. It's a directional energy beam. Ronan asked if they work, and yes, Rodney says they do work. And so Ronan wants to know exactly why they need him and Taylor for this. Is it because they know their way around the city? And Shepard says, no, it's just because I need you. You're part of our team. That's why. Taylor points out that there could be hundreds of replicators on Atlantis by now. But Shepard thinks this is a good plan. He thinks they have a chance. Dr. Weir points out that Jack and Woolsey were both on Atlantis, and for all they know, they're still alive, so she's not willing to give up on them yet. And Shepard says he's not willing to let the replicators take their home away. So are you with us or not? And of course they're going to be with them.
Of course they will.
Of course.
So they prepare. Next, they're all in the puddle jumper, getting ready to gate into Atlantis. Rodney's got his GDO uploaded so the shield will go down once they dial and they won't have to worry about splatting. On Atlantis, the Stargate opens and the replicators are all like, what? What's going on? Oh my god, activate the shield. Uh-oh, they can't. And they're like, cool, yep, gate's lowered. And they're like, Shepard says, I hope this little plan of ours works. Rodney says, me too. And then they go through the gate and we get a long shot of wormhole and then to be continued.
Indeed.
And credits.
Did you like the episode?
I did like the episode. It's a crossover. It has Jack. It has Woolsey. All of those are good things. Beckett's wee baby turtles. I laughed so hard.
So did I.
So there were funny moments that I really enjoyed too. It was a fun episode for me, although I don't like the Ancients at all. And at the beginning, when they were like, okay, you can leave Atlantis, I was like, what is wrong with these people? I didn't even think that, initially I didn't think they were like arrogant. I thought they were up to something. I didn't even think they were actually Ancients at first.
I was actually wondering about that too. Why did the Earth people accept so readily that these are really Ancients when they had thought the replicators were before and they clearly weren't?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that was a little bit weird for me, but Other than that, I just enjoyed it. I'm happy to hand wave away like the stupid agents because they all die anyway. And yeah, and even though it's replicators, I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know. Anyway, how about you?
Yeah, I mostly liked the episode. I did think it, as I mentioned, that it was weird that they just took on face value that, yes, these are ancients, and yes, we're just going to cooperate with them and give them back the city with really no real questions asked and no real argument.
Yeah.
It seemed a bit strange of a premise to me, but whatever. I was annoyed by what assholes the ancients are, because they're this revered society, and every time that we actually like see any glimpse of the ancients, they kind of just suck.
Yes.
Which is what we saw here. So that annoyed me a little bit too. But overall, like you said, I love a good crossover episode. It's nice to see Siler, even though he was only on it for like 2 seconds. It still amused me very much that, as Siler always does, he was getting injured in those 2 seconds he was on this. And of course, seeing Jack is great, and Walter is always great. So yeah, I love a good crossover episode. So for the most part, even though I thought it was weird and parts of it were kind of annoying, I did enjoy it overall.
Yay.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch a part 2 next, but we're not going to watch part 2 of this. What are we going to be talking about?
We are going to watch part 2 of The Quest, which is Stargate SG-1 Season 10, Episode 11. Discovering the frozen body of Merlin, SG-1 works to help him build the San Graal before Adria and her Ori army can track them down. That is what the booklet has to say. And then over at TVDB, when the team finds Merlin himself, they must help him complete the San Graal weapon before Adria and her Ori forces can track them down. So almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that will be fun. The first part was fun, so maybe it'll be fun.
No, it was entertaining enough.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargatesing.space. Reach us by email at stargatesing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargatesing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargatesing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargatesing, The End.
The End. I'm awake for some reason.
Excellent.
Yeah.